I'm John Nance, and today I'm here with...
Kristen, Gondek.
Awesome. If you could describe yourself in a few words, who are you as a person?
Since I don't like talking about myself, I'll go of what other people maybe have said about me, and I like to think that I'm a giver of light to other people. I like to encourage self-care in other people. I'm somebody who listens to my gut instinct and believes in divine timing of things and being in the place that you're supposed to be. I'm an advocate and an organizer and a leader that grew up in a way that you wouldn't think that I would have turned into any of those, but somehow I did, and it was pretty divine.
What do you love to do?
Well, working or not working, I love to be outside and connect with nature, and also if it's working, I like to connect people with some natural things. I like to take care of myself and other people. That's kind of a loaded question too, but I like to encourage wellness, if that's working out, drinking water, making sure I tell other people to drink water. You know, it's funny because if somebody's upset or, you know, they're frustrated or something, yep, I'll ask them, I'll say, have you drank some water? And, you know, now some of the people that I even work with in my advocacy job, I notice people come back to me, and if they are having a really good day, they'll be like, Kristen, you know, I drank some water today. And it's really cool to see that, because sometimes when I interact with folks, they'll be having the worst days, but they'll remember that they need to drink some water and take care of themselves.
Yeah, water your people like you water your plants.
Yes, I gotta water my people.
Yep. And that goes into, what's your background?
So I was born in Kaukauna. That is really close to the Fox Valley, or it might be part of the Fox Valley. So it's a small city, mainly white. When I grew up there in the 90s, I was one of the only black kids in my school the entire time I went to school. It was actually really, really hard for me growing up, and I think a lot of things happened to myself and other black kids who ended up like coming to the school, but maybe they had black parents and I didn't. And I feel like kids with black parents, their parents ended up taking them out of the school because of the extreme racism and bullying that was at that school. So I would get to know another black kid for maybe 6 months and then they'd be gone. I did grow up really sheltered. So it has pros and cons being sheltered. You know, you don't care about some things that maybe other people value too much, like material things or things like that. But, you know, I value the way that I did grow up. I grew up in actually kind of isolated, but at the same time, I grew up with a lot of structure with my family. My family was all white, so that was like another super struggle for me. I had structure, I had financial means, I was safe. Kind of. I wasn't safe from racism. I wasn't safe from those types of things because my family didn't know how to bring it up. They didn't know how to talk about it. They didn't even ever talk. I can't remember ever having a conversation with my parents about racism, but I was...
A lot of swept under the carpet situation.
Yeah, but I was experiencing racism every single day in the worst forms at school. But at the same time, I wouldn't be who I am today and be so passionate about advocating for black people in our area if I didn't go through that. So that's why I value it a lot. You know, when I grew up and realized that it was all a lie when the teacher said, well, you know, he didn't really mean anything by calling you the N-word. He was just joking. Or if I actually did somehow verbalize it to my parents when I got home, they would say, well, did you do anything first? You know, like those types of microaggressions that people don't really realize are really hurtful. But yeah, if I didn't go through all of that, I definitely wouldn't be who I am today. You know, I call them friends, but they were really not my friends because everyone called me racial slurs. And I just grew up thinking that I'm just supposed to make fun of myself and act like it's okay because otherwise I'll have nobody. But in those types of circumstances, you know, I was really thinking like, man, I wish I had a sister or a brother, and not realizing that, you know, I can still advocate for myself and still try to keep myself safe, even though things weren't always safe around me.
What would you say the biggest struggle is for you right now as a person?
Being a perfectionist and being in the space I'm in. So I'm leading an organization. I'm the one person who does a lot of the important stuff, and I'm the only staff. So it's really hard not to try to be perfect, especially, when you kind of bring it to how I grew up too. Like, I always felt like I had to be doing everything perfect so the people around me would like me. So I definitely think that I struggle with being a perfectionist and just like letting things be, because I lose a lot of sleep over that. But then also letting go of a lot of just racial trauma. And it wasn't that long ago that I had like this awakening inside of myself. So when that did happen and I had all of these enlightenments about my life, my child life, how I was emotionally abused in so many situations, and I didn't know that until I was like 30. So after George Floyd was murdered, it just all came out at once, and I'm still dealing with the ramifications of trying to heal that trauma. Basically realizing that my entire life was a lie and that I wasn't crazy. I was uncomfortable for reasons that I should have been, that I wasn't believed by the people around me, that I was gaslit by the people around me. I realized all of that at once. And it was so crazy for 6 months of just a spiral of trying to figure out who the heck I am. And I'm still dealing with that. So, I'm out of the spiral, but I'm just trying to figure it out and not hate people.
What would you say brings you the most happiness at the moment?
I would say my family makes me the most happy. Definitely my son. Being able to raise a black child around black joy makes me so happy. But other than family, just doing work for other people. And like I said, like helping other people have enlightenments. Because just like I was living underneath this shadow or living not in truth. When I meet people that I'm working with, advocating for, doing, different things that they may need because they might be in crisis situations, I try to, at least one time in that meeting, give them some light into why things are the way that they are, that it's not just them and their situation, it's also trauma and
Both
historical
sides.
Things and generational things and oppressive things.
Teaching them how to weave through shit.
Yes, yeah, because it's not just if you're black, you're a failure. It's that the system failed you and you're trying to figure it out.
Where you want to see yourself 5 years from now?
I see myself 5 years from now, and sooner than 5 years, but I see myself being the first black executive director in the Fox Valley that has no secondary education. Because I didn't go to college at the time. Through all of what I was going through, I didn't think that college was for me. I ended up listening to all of the people who just hated me and didn't go to school. And I still want to help people realize that maybe did grow up like me or thought that they couldn't do something, that when you're passionate about something, you can do anything and you can move mountains for yourself and for others. I had an epiphany recently that I wanted to teach some healing groups and be the first black yoga teacher in the Fox Valley. And I would love to help break down some of those barriers for black women and men and any other person to be able to have mental health and physical health services by somebody that looks like them.
What's a piece of advice you could kind of give them?
If I was able to give a child like me in my situation that I was advice, I would say that listen to your voice in your head over the voices around you, to question everything, to make noise about everything, and to not sink down into yourself when you don't feel like you have anybody. Because if you keep on reaching out and trying to find others, eventually you'll find others that are like you. And you just have to find them.
If you had the choice to do it all over again, would you do the same thing or would you do it differently? And if so, how?
I would do it the same. There's a lot of things in my life that I don't talk about that happened, but at the same time, I would do everything the same because, like I said, I do believe in, at least for me, I do believe in divine timing, and that everything that I went through up till this point is the reason why I'm here. And if even the smallest thing ended up different, that maybe I wouldn't be here. You know, maybe I wouldn't even be alive. Maybe I would have been in school.